Hello everybody. This is a re-recording of the the first 20 minutes or so, maybe 15 minutes or so of the Teaching Tuesday from last night. There was a lot of cough medicine involved, and so I forgot to hit record. And then my co-host, about 10, 15 minutes in, something like that, recognized it and was able to hit record. So as to make sure that we give you the entire recording, I am going to re-record the first part. Like I said, shouldn't be longer than 10 minutes or so. I'll give you the disclaimer that I gave last night is that I am very sick and we promised we would do this for you. So we're, being having a high level of integrity and doing what we said we're going to do. However, there is some cough syrup involved, so I can't guarantee, there'll be some disclaimers. Anything I say, Nicole and Jane and Sharon may not have a complete agreement with. So we've got 100% transparency here. So anyway, so for those those of you that are new, welcome to Teaching Tuesdays. A lot of you have been here before, so welcome back. For those of you that are new, the way Teaching Tuesdays started was kind of as a give back. Nicole has been investing in real estate for about 25 years, commercial real estate, and had incredible success with thousands of units across the United States. I took her class about 7 or 8 years ago. We ended up getting along, we ended up partnering, and we've been building ever since. Around, I guess, a few months, maybe 6 or 7 months before COVID, we had talked about, hey, listen, we're really well known in the Baltimore, Washington area, but we're not really helping people across the country. Let's do this. Let's take the entire course and put it online, which is what we basically did. We basically threw away the old course, which was 4 full days, so about 30 hours worth of material, and re-recorded the entire thing. It's now 60 hours. And we put that online and had great success. We've got students in California, Washington State, Alabama, all over the place. So that was giving back. And then about a year ago, we thought we'd start something called Teaching Tuesdays. And the idea behind Teaching Tuesdays was twofold. One was a lot of people that want to get into multifamily are a little hesitant because they don't know anything about it. So the idea was to present them with enough information to have them decide, wow, you know something, this is something really interesting. I could take 5-10 hours a week and build a multifamily business. Or, hey, I spent an hour with these guys online, not really interested. I think I'll go do something else, whatever it is, right? And for those that are interested, obviously, our hope is that you do sign up for the class, which is online. We're also having a special kind of in person, not on the one ever, we'll do it again. We're having an in-person one in Baltimore as well that goes along with the online one, March 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. And you'll see that on the tail end of this recording, how to get access, how to make sure you get a seat, all that good stuff. So anyways, that's basically where we started. So today, let's see if I can do this right here. There we go. All right. So today we thought we'd talk about what you need to be successful in multifamily investing. Multifamily investing over the last several years has become kind of a popular, sexy thing to do, right? So a lot of people get into the business. A lot of very good people get into the business. A lot of people that maybe should not have gotten into the business got in thinking it was just like easy money and, you just throw money at something and you make money. And for a couple of years, it was like that. And now that interest rates have gone through the roof, commercial real estate, as you may have heard on the news or not on the news, for those people that bought incorrectly a few years ago, they're really hurting now. I get phone calls all the time about, hey, James, I don't know what to do. We're basically going to have to give the property back to the bank because they didn't buy right. The people that bought right are going to be absolutely fine. So anyway, so we thought we would say, something, instead of just teaching what a lot of people teach about what's needed to be successful in multifamily, which is, okay, it's really sexy, talk to some brokers, buy a property, get it under, go to closing, and you're done, right? I will tell you, that's not all that is involved by any stretch of the imagination. As hard as it is to find a good deal, right? And we underwrite very, very conservatively. That's not really where all the impact comes in. The impact comes in executing on your plan to stabilize that property and then really start making money. So there's really 5 steps or 5 buckets, if you will, to be successful in multifamily investing. So the first one is obviously you got to set your goals, right? That's kind of a given. I didn't even put it in here, whatever it is. Set your goals, make sure that they are stretch goals, but not so much that, okay, I want to buy 10 units and I want each unit to make me $1,000 a month. Therefore, I'm going to make $10,000 a month in 6 months. Okay. You're not going to make $1,000 a month on your units, right? Over time, you may make $500 or $600 a month, absolutely, but $1,000 a month, I don't know anybody that does that, right? So you have to get credible goals, but you also don't want to make it so small they don't help you stretch a little bit, right? So what we usually tell people is, you kind of have your mission, right? This is my mission in life to do whatever it is that your mission is, and within that mission, you have a vision, right? Of what you want your life to look like, basically your vision of what you want your life to look like a year from now, 3 years from now, whatever it may be. And then within that, right, you have your goals. And what we recommend is there's not enough time here, obviously, to do these really big parts. But in terms of your goals, we recommend you take a 1-year goal and then you basically just reverse engineer. Okay, in order to hit this goal at 12 months, I've got to be here in 6. To be here in 6, I've got to be here in 3. To be here in 3, I've got to be here in 1. To be here in 1, I need to be doing this week. And to be doing this week, I need to be doing this today, right? It's a process. That's all it is, a process, step by step by step by step. But you have to have your end in mind, right? Stephen Covey, everyone heard about him. So end in mind, great guy, by the way. Sad that he passed away. I used to work for him, but wonderful, wonderful guy. But anyway, end in mind, right? So first part, find your markets and then finding deals, right? The last thing you want to do is, oh, look, I found a deal in Phoenix and I live in Maryland and so does Nicole. I don't know where you live. But let's say that you lived in Maryland and you found a deal in Phoenix. Wow, this looks great. Let's underwrite it. Oh, it doesn't quite work. Look, here's another deal in Michigan. Let's look at that. Here's another deal in Florida. Let's look at that. So what ends up happening is that you don't really understand those specific markets and you don't get to grow your understanding of those markets. So every time you look at a deal, it's like you're starting from ground zero. What you want is to know enough about a market because you've kind of delved into it that oh, you know something? The east side? No, 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 no. That's a little bit of a war zone. I don't want to go anywhere near there. Oh, look, the south side. That looks pretty good. Oh, look, I saw a property in there 6 months ago. I like that area. I know what the rents are in that area. So you've got an understanding, right? So we usually tell people start with 8 or 9, get it down to about 6, and get it down to 3 core markets, right? One of them should be the market that you're in because you live there, even if it was considered a bad market. Even within bad markets, there are good deals. You just have to look a little harder, but you know the area, right? So that's a huge win for you. Your second market should be someplace maybe where you went to school, you used to live there, you have friends that live there, somewhere there's possible boots on the ground, if you will. There's some familiarity with it. And the third market is anywhere that you choose, basically based on the analysis that you do on markets across the country, and you decide, oh wow, you know something, I live in Maryland and Charlotte, North Carolina looks really good. It's a 6-hour drive. That's gonna be my third market, whatever, right? But you have to pick your markets. And then you have to learn how to get acquisitions, right? And you can put these in any order you want, basically, right? But in terms of acquisitions, you have to have deal flow, right? And you have to be able to analyze the deals to be able to understand what a good deal is and what a good deal isn't. At the same time that you're doing that, and we recommend actually you start beforehand, you need to learn how to raise private money, even if you have $1 million in the bank and you're going to buy your own first on your own, which is fantastic. A lot of people do that. If you don't, you're going to raise private money. And either you're going to partner with somebody that has money and do what's called a joint venture, or you're going to bring in investors, right, and do what's called a syndication. So in order to identify those investors and kind of grow your investor JV base, if you will, you're going to have to talk to people at the end of the day, right? No one's coming to your house saying, hey, can I invest in your, building? You're going to have to go and talk to some people on the phone, email, whatever it may be. If you are talking to people that are not specific friends and family, there are certain things you have to do that are regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. And if you're doing $100 million deal or a $50 million deal, you may think, oh, well, if I'm doing something that big, okay, they're really going to be looking at me under a microscope, but I'm just doing like a little, $1 million deal, a $500,000 deal, a $5 million deal, whatever it is. And you're right. You're not on the radar until an investor complains. And then it doesn't matter if it's a $300,000 deal. An investor complains, the SEC is going to come in and take a look and make sure that you crossed all your T's and dotted all your I's. So obviously, if you're going to do a syndication, make sure you do it the right way, but that's part of it, right? That's another bucket, raising money. And then managing property managers, right? As we spoke about earlier, buying the asset is one thing, running it properly and making money is the most important part. We don't manage any of our own properties. We have property management companies that we contract with, and we manage them, and we give them metrics and stuff like that to be able to manage our properties or whatever it is. You can do whatever you want. It's up to you. We like to have other property managers do it because then we can, like I said, manage them and then keep going and buying other stuff. And at the end of the day, the last bucket is you're running the business, right? I mean, it really is a business. It's an awesome business. And once you get everything stabilized, you're not working like a crazy person running your business. Like I used to have a restaurant, that was craziness, right? Um, but it is a business. And if you want a long-term business, kind of like what I want, like a legacy business, then there are some things you're going to have to do in terms of running a business properly. So all the work and effort you put in continues for decades and scores and centuries to come, whatever level of family you may or may decide to have or whatever it is. But at the end of the day, it is a systemized, repeatable process. All right. So there's several different steps, and we'll go over some of these right now. So step one, you have to get ready to invest, right? So the first thing we talked about just a few minutes ago was goal setting. What is your goal, right? So you got mission, vision, then your goals for the year, take your goal, and then reverse engineer. So kind of set your goals. Sit down with someone that's done this before, or you trust, or whatever it may be, and say, what do I think I can achieve realistically, but it's going to stretch me a little bit, right? So find out what that goal is. Find your market. We just talked about that. And once you find your market, you're going to start reaching out to, right, at some point, brokers, right, property management companies, real estate attorneys in each of those markets, right? And you're not going to do everything all at once, kind of thing. Right? Don't freak out or anything. You'll do it little by little, right? And you kind of start to build your team, if you will, right, as you go. So you're starting to get deal flow, and then you're starting to get deal flow from that market. You can call up the property management company that you touched base with 2 weeks ago, a month ago, whatever it is, and say, hey, Mary, we talked a little while ago. I'm kind of looking at this building. Here's what I think my expenses are going to be based on your experience in that market. Do you think this is feasible, right? So you're kind of building your team, right? And then obviously, like we talked about, learn to fund your deals, right? Even if you have $1 million, if you want to grow this business, at some point, you're going to run out of money, right? You're going to have to use other people's money. You may not have any money to begin with, so you'll start using other people's money right away. But if you have your own money, you're going to spend your money, invest it properly, the right way. And then you can do kind of the BRRRR strategy, right? Which I can't remember Brandon's last name, Turner, I think. And I don't know what it's like. Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, I think, and then repeat. I may be getting that completely wrong, but the idea is you get it, right? You buy something, you stabilize it, you refinance it, take the cash out of there and go on to the next one, right? Or you can raise money for the next one, or you can 1031 exchange, or you can do whatever you want, right? But the idea is if you want to build a larger portfolio, and larger is relative, right? You don't have to have 6,000 units, right? You can have 1,000 units. You can have 100 units. You can have 50 units. We have members of our community that have 50, 75, 100 units and do really, really, really well. Okay, so don't think you've got to be don't think you have to be like in the stratosphere to make a lot of money doing this. It's going to take some work, obviously, but anyway, so I digress. And then in terms of syndications, how to raise money and stuff like that, how to market for investors properly, right? Doing it the right way, how to talk to people. And then as you start looking at deals, you can start thinking about creative things you can do with deals. And I'll give you an example. And if I share this in the part I already recorded, I apologize. You can just fast forward through that part since it'll be up on our YouTube channel. But we just sent in an LOI. Jane, Sharon, and I sent in an LOI on Monday for a mobile home park. Small mobile home park. I think it's like 20 pads or something like that. And we got very creative, right, with the financing. We kind of bopped it around and thought of what a creative deal would be. There would be a win for the seller, right? We found out what their pain point was. It's a win for him and his wife, right? But it still makes sense financially to us. So we got very creative, right? And most of the deals you're going to do are going to be straight. I'll put money down, I'll get a bank loan, done, move on, kind of thing, right? But there's lots of opportunities to do stuff creatively. So we send them a creative loan. And this is so creative that we can take this property, and there's a huge casino being built nearby. So we can take this property and take the homes, right? The mobile homes, and say, you know something, we're going to rent out to individuals that work at the casino, individual rooms for $800 a room or $700 a room. So now this mobile home that we're renting out for $1,000 a month, we can now rent out for almost $2,000 a month. Or we can knock them all down and put in an RV park, because that casino is going to draw people from all over the country, and a lot of people use RVs. They're very popular, and you can make a lot of money with an RV park. Or we can knock everything down and we can build a self-storage unit, which is very, very profitable. And because it's in a good part of the state, in a good town, there's a lot of traffic, and there's an opportunity there that people have stuff, and they're going to want to store their stuff somewhere. And as you may or may not know, self-storage is very, very popular. People keep accumulating more and more stuff. House fills up, garage fills up, they got to stick it somewhere, okay? So you have to be creative. And as time goes on, right, and you learn more and more, you'll start looking at deals differently. And I'll give you one short example. And again, if I say this later, I apologize. But one of the first flips that I ever did, I went out to the flip and I parked in the parking lot. It was a townhouse, right? And I just sat there and watched, right? And people would go into this townhouse, kind of a dreary day, drizzling, that kind of thing. People would walk into this townhouse. They'd be in there for like 60 seconds, and they'd watch them not run back out, but kind of walk quickly back out. And I saw like 4 or 5 people do this. And I'm like, what is going on, right? Obviously, something is turning these people off. These are investors, not like homeowners, right? So something's going on here that is turning these people off, right? So I get to the front door, right? I get out of my car, I walk over, I get to the front door. And as soon as you cross the threshold, it's like you got hit with a 2x4 with a smell, right? So sadly, when this gentleman passed away, it was a probate. When the gentleman passed away, someone came in to feed his cats, but no one took care of emptying the litter box or even putting a litter box in there. So for several months, these cats peed everywhere, and it really sinks in. And if you've ever been in the home that has repeated cat urine in it, it's overwhelming. I mean, it's a smell like nothing else. So everyone else was running out. I walk in and go, oh my God, this is an awesome opportunity. I know how to get rid of that. Since I know how to get rid of that, then I can get a better price on this because there's less competition. And I did, and I sold it, and I made a lot of money. And you can do the exact same thing once you learn more and more and more in terms of opportunity. You will see opportunities that most people won't, but you have to do something, right? So, okay, so it's not magic, people, right? It's just follow the process, right? So then you're going to establish what we call, or what I call, your buy box, right? What is it you're looking for, right? What price range are you looking for? How many doors are you looking for? Are you looking more for urban? Are you looking more for suburban? Are you looking more for tertiary markets, which is where we buy a lot of stuff because we like it? There's less competition out there. And are you looking for garden level apartments? Are you looking for mid-level? We looked at a mid-level at Hagerstown with an elevator. And I've never had a building with an elevator, so that was totally new for me. I would rather not have an elevator. So in a high level, obviously you're going to have an elevator. So garden, 1 or 2 levels or whatever it is, or walk up, whatever you want to call it, mid-level, usually like 5 levels and above, in most cases. And a lot of times they'll have an elevator, and then high levels, obviously the high rises and stuff like that. In terms of price and door count, um, I know some brokers, and they give me stories, right? And they say, a lot of times people will just call them and go, yeah, I want to buy 50 doors. Okay, well, what does that mean? Because think about it, right? If let's do 10 doors, right? If you tell me 10 doors, I can give you 10 doors. It'll cost you $2 million, right? In downtown DC. Or those same 10 doors might cost you $800,000 outside of Hagerstown, right? So the number of doors doesn't mean anything, right? You have to establish what your price point is, what your market is, and then establish within that price point how many doors that represents, okay? And then you're also going to have to establish okay, what kind of return am I looking at? What makes a good deal for me, right? Or if I've got investors, what makes a good deal for me and my investors? What makes sense, right? Because if you don't have some level of benchmark, if you will, anything looks good or everything looks bad, right? You've got to have some sort of measuring stick. So what is what I call return on investment, and there's a lot of different ways to measure that and stuff like that. There's no time to actually get into that now, but you have to establish what that is. So when the broker does start sending you deals, and I guarantee they will send you garbage to begin with to see if you're real, when they start sending you stuff, you've got something to measure it against. So when you get back to the broker, you can say, hey, you know something? This doesn't work for me because of A, B, and C. What else do you have that I might have a chance to take a look at? Okay. All right. So you've started to get that process and stuff like that. And these can mix and match a little bit. There's no, you don't have to do it in exactly this ladder. And again, you're doing a little bit of everything at the same time. So then you're gonna have to start analyzing deals, right? And you're gonna have to learn how to do that. You're going to have to learn how to use a financial calculator. Don't let it scare you, right? I have a financial calculator. I think I know how to do like 14 things on it, and it does like 150. Okay. So I would encourage you, you can just get it on your phone. They're like $10 or $6 or something like that. Find or create your own underwriting sheet, right? An underwriting sheet is basically just an analysis sheet for you guys that don't know, that you put in numbers. And then if you do it right, or you have the right one, it spits out at the end, here's what your numbers are going to look like in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years. So you basically build your plan, right, for the building you're going to buy, where your profit's going to come from based on whatever that sheet says, right? So you either build one like we did, or you can buy one, or whatever it is, right? I look at underwriting sheets all the time, and some are really good and some are horrible. I try and take the good pieces and add them to ours as we go. So we're always kind of enhancing ours, if you will, with stuff that we like. So you need to have a good underwriting sheet, and then you're going to develop some exit strategies, right? Okay, you're going to buy this building. What's your plan, right? We're big buy and hold, right? Maybe you're not. Maybe you're like, something, I want to buy, and in 5 years, I want to sell and go buy something bigger. Or maybe I want to do something else, whatever it may be. I'll talk a little bit about this deal that we're looking at. That might give you a little bit of an example. So your exit strategies, right? So let me see something real quick here. So all right, yeah, let me go back. I'll tell you about this property now. Analyze deals, develop exit strategies. Okay, so we're looking at this relatively small mobile home park up in northern state. And it works based on the offer, the LOI that I'll show you in a second. It works based on that, using it as a mobile home park, right? So the initial exit strategy is get it, run it properly, get the expenses down, get revenue up, and then hold it for cash flow forever, right? However, they are building an enormous casino a couple of miles away. So would a better use be, all right, we're going to keep that mobile home park, but we're going to rent individual rooms in each of those mobile home parks for the individuals that work at the casino. So now instead of getting $1,000 for a mobile home, we now get, I don't know, 1,800, whatever it is that you charge per room. You'd have to figure it out or whatever it is. So that's another option. Or maybe we turn it into an RV park, right? Those are very popular. A lot of people come into the casino and stuff like that. Maybe I've known a couple of guys that have bought RV parks lately, and they're very profitable, right? They're a business, right? So you do have employees and stuff like that. So a little bit harder than a mobile home park or an apartment building, but that's an option. And then the other option was the guy that we're buying it from, he originally wanted to build a self-storage facility. So that might be an exit strategy as well. So we've got lots of different strategies we can do. Not every deal is going to be that flexible. This one just happens to have a lot of flex. But you have to be thinking about those things, because a lot of times, a lot of people will come to a property or a deal or whatever it is, and they'll all walk away, but you have a vision, and your vision will make that deal work. And just as a quick aside, I keep telling these stories, but where are we on time? One of the first flips that I ever did, I was a townhouse in Columbia, Maryland. And I pulled up, it was kind of nasty days, kind of drizzling and stuff like that. And I pulled up into the parking lot, at the time they were going to open it, right? It was a probate sale. I think an attorney was selling it. And I just sat there and I kind of watched, right? And all these people kept going in, and like 60 seconds later, they'd come back out. All these investors go in, they come back out, in, out, in, out, in, out. And I'm like, what is going on? So I walked in there, and it turns out that the guy had cats. And sadly, when the gentleman passed away, people came in and fed the cats, but they never cleaned out their litter boxes. So you walked in, it was getting hit with a sledgehammer with a smell from cat urine. And if you've ever been in a place that has cat urine, it's a really, really, really bad smell, right? So for everybody else who's like, I don't want to deal with that. That's just too crazy. For me, I just saw opportunity. This is awesome. Other people are walking away. I can get this cheap. I know how to get rid of that smell. I did it. I sold it, make good money kind of thing, right? So you have to be able to look at different strategies of what you can do with different properties. And then, like anything else, you 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 have to ask a lot of girls out, right? Or you have to make a lot of offers in single family, or you have to make a lot of what they call LOIs in multifamily. So an LOI, for those of you who don't know, represents a letter of intent, right? And a letter of intent is exactly that. It's not a contract, it's an intent. So basically, what you'll do is you'll look at a property, they'll send you financials, we can get into that later. They'll send you financials, you analyze it and say, you know something, based on this, I think I can afford to pay about X, and these are the terms that I think will work for this. And then you email it in, or, I don't know how else we would do it, but I guess you would just email it in. And that's an LOI. And then the LOI, most of the time, is not going to get accepted on the first one, but at least now the person, the seller, has something to look at. Like, all right, I like 1, 2, and 3, but I'm not doing that. Yeah, I'm not doing that. So they scratch it off, they write in what they want, and they send it back, right? And it goes back and forth. And the idea here is to come to some sort of agreement, not set in law or a contract, but some sort of agreement that you can base your contract off of, as opposed to going to an attorney and dropping 5, 10 grand, whatever it is, to come up with a contract. And then they go back and forth and redline it all day long. And the only people that make money are the attorneys, right? So that's what an LOI is for. And you're going to have to send out a few LOIs to get one that pops, right? It's like anything else, right? You may have to look at 100 deals to find maybe 30 that you underwrite, and these numbers can change for everybody, right? Maybe you send LOIs out on 30, maybe out of those LOIs, 4 get accepted, and 3 of those fall out when you do your due diligence, right? So out of 100 deals, you found 1, right? But that one, like one of our students, can make you a couple $100 grand a year in your pocket, right? It just depends. So it's worth it, I guess is what I'm saying. So you need to learn how to make a lot of offers properly, right? And you need to learn what you can offer. And then based on that, what do you need to raise, right? And then due diligence, right? So someone tells you, hey, look, I got this wonderful car, on Facebook Marketplace. Would you like to buy it? Absolutely. I'll just send you a check, right? No one would do that, right? You would not do that also with $1 million plus property, right? You're going to have what's called due diligence, and you need to do it properly. Due diligence, you can do offsite, which means analyzing the market, looking at financials, doing all sorts of stuff you can do from the comfort of your office, your home, over a computer, right? And then there's due diligence actually at the property, which is much more involved. It's stopping by the police department, it's talking to the city council, it's going to the water department, it's doing all sorts of different stuff like that. Nicole always jokes that her due diligence checklist is 26 pages long, and I used it, and it is. And what she's basically done is every time she steps on a landmine, she goes, oh, all right, next time, that's not going to happen. Okay, next time, that's not going to happen, right? So thank God, when I use her due diligence checklist, I got 25 years worth of experience to keep me from stepping on landmines. And thank God for Nicole that had a good positive attitude. Even after those landmines, she kept going. It's all about what's in your head, right? All right, so we're getting close to the end here. So, all right, so again, it's not magic, then you have to go and close on the deal. There's certain ways you need to do that. You need to get good at it. You need to find a good attorney to be able to do that with you. If you're buying out of state, you need to find an attorney in that state, right, to help you do the closing. And when you go to closing, you're going to have to put together some sort of plan, which you've already kind of started to build out, for turning this property around, unless it's turnkey. And if it's turnkey, you're probably not making very much money, and we don't buy that, so I can't help you there. But if you're buying something that needs some work, you're going to have to make a plan, and you're going to have to execute on that plan. And the clearer the plan is, the better it is to be able to execute on. And then you create a budget and you manage that budget. I think in the first year, you're like, oh, okay, I thought I was going to spend this for this. Okay, it ended up being a little bit less, a little bit more. So there's always flux and stuff like that. But at some point, your property management company and you are going to come up with a budget that makes sense. And then they have to stick to it, right? Those are your metrics, your KPIs, right? Hey, look, you're off by X amount of dollars. What's going on? Kind of thing. Or, wow, that's under. What's going on? We're not providing service. We're not doing enough maintenance or whatever it may be. So you need to create a budget and manage that budget to be successful. And then you need to manage the property or manage the property manager. We encourage people to have property management companies run your properties, because then you have time to go out and buy more properties, right? You can manage the property yourself. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's not something I would want to do. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of work. I know people that do it and are very successful at it. That's just not me, right? And I learned that from Nicole, right? So if you find the right property management company and you give them certain metrics, right? There's certain measures and reports. You talk to them about how you want them to treat residents, not just the ones that don't pay, but more importantly, the ones that do pay. Here's the process we want to follow when we're working with these good clients, because we want them to stay, right? As an example of that, Nicole's average retention rate is 3 to 4 years. It might be even more than that. Most apartment buildings in the Baltimore, Washington area, it's 50%. Every year, 50% of the tenants leave and 50% of the tenants stay, right? And turnover is your number one cost. So if you treat people right, you have to give away the store, but if you treat people right, they will stay. So if you do the right thing, you actually get paid more. So that's a pretty nice feeling. And then obviously, as you're managing, you're maximizing the income from your property. And then the last piece here is to manage your business from. I'm doing okay. Okay. Are you guys trying to text me or anything? No? Okay. All right. So the last thing is really to manage your business for long term, right? So property management is a long-term business. You want to work with your investors long term if you have investors. And if you're going to keep the property and keep them involved, or even if you flip the property and want to buy something new going further down the road, you need to keep those relationships viable and active. And you need to run your property as a business, not as an ATM. And I did not come up with that expression. I have talked to several brokers like, yeah, they live in New York. They use like an ATM machine. Now it's not making any money. They want to dump it, kind of thing. And a lot of property owners do that. It's making money. I'm just going to leave it alone. Maybe I'll see it in a couple of years or whatever it is, right? What we do, and what Nicole has always taught, is you get on the phone with the property management company, or you look at the reports once a month. Because then what happens, right? Like anything else, any job you've ever had or any business you've ever had, is like, if someone walks in once a month and goes, hey, give me an update. Okay. And somebody doesn't show up for like 2 years, it's like, oh, I need to do something. Oh, I'm going to do it for James or Nicole or Ioana or Jane, because they're coming in and checking on me every month. So I want to make sure that all my ducks are lined up when they come in. And this other person never shows up. I'll try and do a good job because I'm a good business person, but the attention is going to go where I know I'm being measured, right? And the whole point behind getting into this business, and it's my point, and it's personal to me. It can be whatever it is to you. Everyone has a different reason for building a business. But for me, it's to build a business and leave a legacy. God forbid something should ever happen to me and I get X'd out of the equation. I want my wife and my 2 wonderful daughters to be taken care of for life, right? And that might seem like a very ambitious goal, or it might not be anywhere near your wheelhouse. I can tell you for sure, when I was tending bar at age 22, 23, 24, or running restaurants and stuff like that, this was the furthest thing from my mind. I got married very late, okay? I was out just being an idiot, right, for a long time. So this never would have crossed my mind. But now it really does. And it's something that you can do as well if that ends up being your goal. All right, so why now, right? So right now, for those of you that have been following the news for commercial real estate, the way that it works is unlike residential real estate where you get a 30-year loan, most commercial real estate, whether it be multifamily or office or whatever it may be, or God help you if you're in your office, but anyway, that's another story. um, it runs on a term, right? So, okay, we're going to create your payment based on if you paid it out over 25 years or 30 years. It's called amortization, or 20 years, whatever it may be. And that the longer you can extend it, the smaller your payment, right? What's interesting about commercial is like, well, you don't have 30 years to pay it off. You're going to have to pay it off in 5 years and then refinance, or 7 years, or 3 years, whatever it may be. What's happening now is that a lot of these guys pre-22, they were like, all right, I bought it at 3.5% with an agency loan or whatever it is. I got a 3-year term. In 3 years, when I go to refinance, or God help you, I have a bridge loan at 4% or whatever it is. And when I go to refinance, I'll take 75% of that. I'll pay everybody off and I'll keep rolling. And now what's happening is interest rates aren't at 3.5%, 4%. I mean, what are they now? 6.5%, 7%, 7.5%. On a bridge loan, 8%, 8.5%. And obviously, as your interest rate goes up, the value of your property goes down because less people can afford it because the interest rate is so high. Same thing with a house, right? You could have bought a $500,000 house with a $3,000 payment, and I don't even know if that's close, but a $500,000 house with a $3,000 payment in 2021, and that's same $3,000 payment will now buy you a $350,000 townhouse, right? Exact same monthly payment, right? Commercial real estate works the same way. So, and you've probably read, a lot of these big venture funds and stuff like that are basically unheard of, at least to me. They're just saying, bank, here's the keys. We're done. We can't do this. A lot of syndicators are doing cash calls. I've talked to several of them. And they're like, we can't refinance. We need to get cash in here to be able to refinance, or else the bank is going to basically take the property from us. And this happened in single family. When I was doing flips, we had 3 separate people come to the table that I was buying it from, right? Other investors that had to bring a check to the table to clear their debt so I could buy the property for them at the price that I wanted. So it happens, right? It's not just commercial, but it's also multifamily that happens quite a bit. And over these next 6, 12, 18, 24 months, if you look back on like 2009, 10, 11, when people made just enormous amounts of money in residential real estate because everything went upside down, this is the same time for multifamily. So if you ever thought about getting into multifamily, now is the time to do it, or just learning how to get in. Take 6 months, learn how to do it. Start 6 months from now, from whatever it is, kind of thing. But if you've ever had an interest, if you keep coming back to these, and we love to see you guys, but if you keep coming back to these and stuff like that, you need to do something. You need to take some level of action, right? Because all these loans are coming due, and it's not just for the $6 billion note, right? It's for the guy that bought a property that's a little 10 unit, for whatever. And now he's going to have to come and pay. And just like the residential guys are like, James, can you help me out? Yeah, but I'm not going to pay you what you paid for it. That's crazy talk. I'll pay you X. That's what's worth it. I want to be fair, right? I don't want to rip somebody off, but I'm going to be fair. This is what's worth to me in today's market. And by the way, when you come to closing, you're going to have to bring a check for $45,000 to pay off your old debt. Okay? So that's what's happening now. So, and this basically says the same thing, right? Basically, a lot of these places are coming up for refinance. If you're gonna, there's never a bad time to get into real estate, is my pure belief, right? There are some especially good times to get into real estate. If, right, there are always those ifs. If I had bought some shares of Berkshire Hathaway for $100 40 years ago, they'd now be worth like 14.2, one share. If I bought Amazon when he was that crazy goofy guy talking about working out of a garage or whatever it is, and then I had that stock, I would be X now, kind of thing, right? So really good opportunities build over time. So no matter when you get in, it's fine. But if you want to kind of leapfrog, right? It's not easy money. This is not by any form or fashion get rich quick. Absolutely 100%. If that's what you're here for, I'm sorry, but this is not for you. Okay? But if you had to start somewhere, this is the time and this is the place to actually start. So one of the things that Nicole has actually agreed to do, bless her, is she is going to do that same class that I took, right, eons ago, and Jane and Sharon also took an actual live class, right? The online one is still there. It's fantastic. If you have an interest in multifamily, I super encourage you to do it. It's just phenomenal. It'll make you very successful as long as you do the work and as long as you have a good mindset. But she's going to do this at the beginning of March, right? Her and I are going to teach it together. I say together, she'll teach 70%, I'll teach 30%, right? Kind of thing. But she's willing to do that. And let me tell you something, she does not have to do that. There's no rhyme or reason why Nicole has to do, and I don't know if she's still on her, I'm probably embarrassing her, but there's no rhyme or reason that she has to do anything ever again. But she likes to teach and likes to pay it forward, right? So in March, she's going to teach for 4 days in Baltimore at the Best Western Conference Center. If you ever, 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 ever thought about getting into multifamily, if I could get in my car and go to your house and pick you up and drag you to go learn from Nicole, I would do that. What I have learned, though, is if you give something away for free, or if you drag somebody to it, no matter how good it is, they won't take it seriously, right? So this is when it is, right? It's March 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th. We're gonna try and keep Nicole, honest and not go from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. We'll try and keep it from maybe like 8 to 6 or something like that. But we always do these things where it's like, oh, if you come at 7, we'll have some, extra classes for you or something like that. If you stay late, we're going to the bar next door, and that's really where you pick up all the nuggets, right? Is when you actually go out afterwards, and hang out for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it may be. It's not going to be all night, right? Because we have to do the teaching the next day, whatever it is. But I mean, it's basically 4 days to change your financial future. Bottom line. So what you want to do is, if this is of interest to you and any of these end games or something that is attractive to you, I would go just to that website right there. It's passivecashflowforlife.com, right? You go to that website. It's got, I don't know, Nicole, I'm in, click here, whatever it is. It's got a bunch of information on the online course, right? And for now, we're going to do this online class. I'm sorry, in-person class at the same time. Now, I don't know how many of you have been to the Best Western Conference Center, but they have certain size rooms, right? And we are not going to pack people in like in a theater. We're going to put people at like 8-foot tables. So at some point, the room fills up, right? So it's totally up to you, whatever you want to do. If you want to do it now, I would super, super encourage you to do it. If you have any questions, this support at passivecashflowforlife.com email comes directly to my inbox, and I will actually look at it and I will get back to you same day or the next day, if at all possible. It's rare, it's really rare that it takes more than 48 hours for me to get back to anybody, whether you're a student, someone thinking about it, whatever it may be, someone in the community. I always get back to people. And sometimes I don't want to look at my inbox because I'm like, oh my God. So anyway, I think okay. So these are some of the guys that took class. So this is Steve Brown out of Baltimore, 101 units in Ohio. This is Sam, who since the 28 unit, I think he bought another 44 units, also local in Baltimore. This is Mike. Mike is a dentist in Columbia. He's bought a whole bunch of self-storage. Who is this? Hong and her husband own an HVAC company, have done very well buying multifamily. Dave, very sadly, has passed away in a big accident. He was a great friend. And then there's Emma from Ohio, who's a traveling nurse that has always, done very, very well. And then the person that should be on here really is Alex, who is not. We just talked to him today. He was phenomenal. He's like at 112 or something like that, and he's local here too. He's a great guy. If you ever get a chance to join the community and meet him, I would highly encourage you. Pay him $20, go take him to lunch or whatever it is. Phenomenal guy. So anyway, that is it. I've gone blabbed on for 45 minutes. What kind of questions do people have? It doesn't have to be about this. It can be anything multifamily related. It does have to be real estate related. Don't ask me anything else because with a cough syrup, I don't know what I would say. But any questions on anything that you guys have to ask? And I can't see the chat, so Jane, you'll have to let me know if someone does that. Or I think we've got a small enough group. I think there's like 20 or 25 people in here. Feel free to just unmute yourself and ask whatever you like. And I've got
Yes,
Nicole here as well.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 4 days, it says a 4 day challenge or 4 days, what is it? I'm sorry.
So it's 4 days.
Uh-huh.
Live at the Best Western Conference Center, just here it's outside of Baltimore. It's right off the highway, if you will. And
Okay.
it runs from 8 to 6, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And that's
You
March 7, 8, 9, and 10. I hope I put up there
you
correctly.
mean 8 to 6 at night, or I mean, you say eight to eight
Yeah, 8 in the
to
morning until 6 at night.
six in
So
the morning?
correct. If you have a
Okay.
W-2, you want
Yeah.
to attend Thursday and Friday, you're gonna have to take a vacation day or a sick day, whatever it is that you want to do.
Okay. Okay. I got you.
Mhm.
And where do you sign up for that at the
You
website
just go to
or you
Passive Cash Flow for Life, that website right there,
uh
I put it in the
passivecashflowforlife.com.
chat as well.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
just
got
click
it.
on that. It's one page, click on it, and it kind of walks you through it. It tells you everything that comes with it. And you don't just get the live class, by the way, just so you know, you also get the big class, which is the one that's online and stuff like that. So just so you know.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Any other questions?
Charlene, you had your hand up?
Yes, I'm
Hi,
gonna have to
Charlene.
miss one of the days. So are you gonna record the whole thing or?
Um, I don't know. Which
Yeah,
day are you gonna miss?
I would be missing Saturday.
Um, I know you, Charlene. We've been, I guess, almost friends, I guess, for a little while now. So, I'll take care of you one way or the other. We'll figure it out.
Figure
Whatever
it
we
out.
teach on the day, either we will record it. Nicole and I have been talking about it. We're not quite sure if we're going to do it.
Yeah.
If we don't record it, then you and I can sit down together and we'll go over everything together.
Okay.
Did Marvin
Wayne
call
has
you?
a question. My
Okay.
question relates to cap rate.
Okay.
A lot of times you see properties that brokers are trying to move and they give you a pro forma cap rate. And that's down the road if you get the property turned around. When you're buying the property, I guess there's a rule of thumb, you're trying to keep your cap rate below your interest rate or above your interest rate.
Mhm.
Which is it? And um, how do you go about comparing the current conditions on the O&M to the pro forma projected conditions financially?
Okay. Great question. So, a couple of things, right? You want your cap rate to be above your interest rate, right? Um, so for example, if something is selling at a 6 cap, I'm sorry, if something's selling at a 7 cap, you want to be able to get a note at 6% or something like that, right? Or you need to be able to get to an 8 cap at least by the end of year 1, beginning of year 2, right? To make it equitable, because some of these have like huge upside, right? And you can take advantage of a little bit of it the first year. I wouldn't recommend that blow it out the first year. I mean, stack stuff out over the years to come or whatever it is. But you would definitely want to be at least, I would think, at an 8 cap by the beginning of year 2, the end of year 1. When brokers send you this, um, you have to, I guess, kind of look at the story, right? So brokers are there promoting a product that they really, 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 really want you to buy. So like a used car, they're going to show you everything that's good about it, right? The better brokers will say, oh, by the way, you'll also need to do A, B, and C, right? I think 90% of brokers out there are just honest, right? The 10% give everybody a bad name kind of thing. But, you know, buyer beware kind of thing. You have to ask the questions. So what I will do is, again, learn from Nicole, right? I buy on actuals, right? We just looked at it. What did we look at? We just looked at it a couple of days ago, and they said, this is one I haven't seen before. So it was like, what is it? Not pro forma cap rate, but at year one cap rate or something like that. They made you believe that you're buying something at a 7 cap, right? And then when you looked at it, they had 3 stacks, right? They had the T12, which was here's what's happened for the last 12 months. Here's the numbers. Here's the T12 that if you do what we recommend in terms of cutting expenses and stuff like that, if you buy it here, then it would be a 7 cap. And here's our pro forma. Here's what we think you can do to augment the net operating income of the business. Then it's worth that. So my pushback is great. You go cut the expenses, and when it's done, come back to me and I'll buy it there. But I'm not going to pay you for work that I have to do. That's just not right. Right. So, and it got crazy for a little while. People were paying, just like with residential, people were paying over asking price, stupid money. Right. And I've got stories upon stories upon stories of people like, you know, dude, how you getting that number? Like, James, somebody will buy it. And sure enough, somebody bought it. And then sure enough, I'm sure we'll pick that up at the auction sometime in the next couple of years, kind of thing. So that's just us, you know, everyone's different, but yeah, definitely, Wayne, I've known you for a while, man. Just buy on actuals, right? Not the fluff. You want to buy on, this is what I'm buying. This is the car that I'm buying. I know exactly what's going on. And if something happens further down the road, fine. But I know based on what I see, this is what I'm buying. I'm not buying on, hey, you know something, if you paint it, it'll be worth this much, right? You want to buy what you're buying.
I would
One
also
other
say,
question,
let me
just
jump in for just a sec. I'd also say that's why we underwrite our own properties. So when you analyze, you're doing your own underwriting. And that's so you're going to do your own analysis and put your own areas in about what you think you can do. So we don't pay too much attention to what brokers are saying other than to look at the areas where they think you could improve.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nicole.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. You had another question.
just, do you go in on actuals, looking at a minimum net profit per door that you're trying to make the deal work, or it varies based on the various properties?
Nicole, I think he's asking you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I was, you know, I don't, the actuals are, you know, are what is. And so, I'm looking at those, plus I'm looking at what I can get to at the end of year one. And I really want to be able to be at least 2 points above what the average interest rate is on those properties right now. So right now, interest rates are somewhere around 7 on commercial. So I want to be able to be at a 9 cap by the end of year one. That way I know I'm fairly safe. So it is, there's other things people use to quickly get a handle on things. I'm just not as comfortable with those. So for instance, you can use the 1% rule, which is that if a property is selling for $100,000 a door, then your rents need to be at least $1,000 a month. So it's 1%. So, but that does not take the place of actually doing your due diligence and your underwriting yourself to see what you think you have and where you can get. Did that answer your question? Okay,
Yes.
I'm going to shut up again and turn it back over to James.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Nicole. It's a whole bunch of stuff in chat there. I don't know if they're just questions.
That was a lot of me. I put the links
Oh.
in for the YouTube channel and
Okay. Oh, thank you for doing that. I appreciate that very much.
the class, which I highly recommend. Can I just talk about the class for a minute?
Oh yeah, please go ahead.
So that was one of the first classes we took, and to say we were overwhelmed was a not knowing anything about real estate, and it's funny how things work out in time. Like, I don't think we were ready to hear a lot of that. Now we certainly are, and we get the honor of actually being here for the whole hour before, we come on Tuesdays. But, Nicole just has a abundance of information and knowledge and experience, and you don't often come upon that people are willing to give back. A lot of people in real estate don't like to share that information. There's plenty to go around, but for some reason they think there's some scarcity. But if you can go to this class, I highly recommend it. We're in sunny Florida right now, and we're going to come up for that. Can't wait. I think we're ready to hear a lot more. We're actually getting excited about multifamily and kind of leaning on James and Nicole to look at some deals, because for years, like, all these deals came to our inbox and we just like, it's multifamily. I don't know what to do with that. It's different. And instead of like jumping in, so now's a good time to jump in. This class is coming around, which is perfect timing. The foreclosures are coming in. We're hearing them from all kind of people in Texas, across the whole US, that people just, they bought with stupid money and they were just crazy the way they bought. Now these balloons are coming due, so there's going to be a lot out there and a lot to go grab, but you still have to do it right. And Nicole and James are definitely the people to learn from. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane.
I just have a question if you got.
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
You might be muted, whoever is.
Yeah, you're muted.
Okay. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. My name is Moses, by the way.
Okay.
I never I don't have any experience, like, as far as investing in real estate. But I'm pretty interested of learning, in the multifamily.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering, would I need to experience like this, for investing in single family first, before I'll go up to multifamily, or is it possible just to learn straight up, going to multifamily?
So I think I've met you. Didn't you come to one of our meetups? Because your name sounds and your voice sounds really familiar.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Okay, all right, okay. So maybe it's another Moisa.
Yeah.
So I will tell you that almost without exception, everyone that I've talked to that has gotten into multifamily and been successful says they'd wish they'd gotten into it sooner. There is absolutely nothing, zero, that you need to know that is required for you to be successful in multifamily. You can be very successful in residential, right?
Yes.
It's going to take you, a while. I mean, think about it, right? You can buy a 10 unit one day, right? Or you can buy 10 single family houses over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, whatever it is, right? So if you know zero, as long as you've got a good attitude and are willing to put in, 5, 10 hours a week consistently, you can absolutely do multifamily. No questions asked.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Hey, Moses, and coming from the residential side, again, what James said, I wish we had done that earlier. Like, you always look back and say, yeah, what if I would have done that? I think we would have been in the same place with James and Nicole if we would have stuck with the multifamily and just learned that. I don't think there's any difference. We know a lot of people that they jumped into multifamily. They had a good mentor or good courses and learned it and did that. So I think either way, it's
Oh,
fine.
okay. 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 I got you. Thank you for answering that question.
You bet.
Sure.
Yeah.
So we're about to turn it over to Jane and Sharon. Anybody have any last question? One last question?
Yeah, I
Okay.
do. I'm
Oh,
Guy.
okay.
I was waving.
Guy.
I didn't know if you guys saw me. Just real quick. So coming from a single family mindset, the bigger is scarier. How do you get
Yep.
past that? And is there more capital involved that is needed up front?
So Nicole has a really good story about that. But I think everyone goes through that. You're not alone. I think, you're looking at buying a house for, I don't know, 200 grand or whatever it is. I don't know where you live. It looks like San Francisco. So 200 grand probably won't even get
Not
you a
where I
parking
live.
space, but okay.
It's what
Um,
what I like to. No,
right.
I'm not.
When you think about it, right? Um, a couple things. One is you don't have to go out and buy 100 units off the bat, right? Commercial, by definition, starts at 5 units, right? You could start with a 4 unit. You could start with a 10 unit, right? And then you just stack, right? So you buy a 4 unit, and then depending on what your goals are, right? You say, okay, I'm going to buy a 4 unit by here. And then, something, in the next 6 months, I'm going to buy a 10 unit. Oh, wow. Okay. That wasn't so hard. Now I can take some of the equity from here, some of the people I've met, and maybe I'll go out and buy a 25 unit, right? And what we do is we end up keeping these two, right? You can do like what's popular in, what's Brandon's last name? I can't remember Brandon's last name, but the Burr method, right? Buy it, rent it, rehab, or whatever the, right?
Right.
Refinance and go on to the next one. Some people sell and they get into something bigger. I agree with Nicole. If it took me that long to find a really, really good deal, I'm going to hold on to it, right?
Makes sense.
So yeah, just start smaller. And man, I got so many stories. I
Sorry,
guarantee
I
you,
know it's late.
once you get into it, you'll be like, wow, okay, it'll just click. It's like this little thing goes off in your head and go, got it. Makes total sense. It's just a zero. No big deal. Same process kind of thing. Hope that helps.
Having
That's
said
good.
that, I sounded a lot like you. I hated all those extra zeros. It scared me for years. And then you just eventually get over it. That's all I can tell you. It just
Get over it.
they
Just
don't
get
mean
over
so
it.
much anymore.
Just numbers on a paper, right?
Yeah.
That's a nice place to live if you can get there.
You will. It's that
Thank
whole
you.
thing about yet, right? I'm not there yet.
Yet.
Great
Yeah.
book, by the way, Mindset by Carol Dweck. All right, so we're going to be done with this. And a little background on the Academy. We're going to turn it over to Jane and Sharon, our partners. Jane and Sharon, how do I do this without embarrassing them? They're just phenomenal people. They have done incredibly well in single family. They used to live up here in the Baltimore, Washington area. And then, left us and went down to sunny Sarasota. But they buy deals all over the place. I think you're in what, 10, 11 states? You've done over 100 deals or whatever it is. And when we started Passive Cash Flow for Life, people said, hey, can you do the same thing for single family? So what we ended up doing was we went and found other full-time instructors that we trusted, right? And basically put together what's called the Virtual REI Academy. And it's like 45 or 50. I haven't counted lately because we keep adding them. Right? I think Jane and Sharon just created something and we're going to add it. And then somebody else created a course. But it's like 45 to 50 courses all under one umbrella. And you're able to learn anything and everything about multifamily. Actually, great point.
You
Before I
mean
talk
single
about,
family?
I'm sorry?
You mean single family?
Single family.
Residential.
Okay, residential, correct. Sorry. So like I mentioned earlier, it's not just flipping and wholesaling, right? There's actually we used one of those strategies actually for this mobile home park, right? There's all sorts of different types of strategies that people are just unaware of, where you can do really well with like people find like one strategy and that's all they do, right? And it has nothing to do with flips or wholesaling, right? So anyway, we put that together. Jane and Sharon were kind enough to kind of take that ball and run with it. They're phenomenal people. I'll pull up their website so you can see the picture on it. And then same kind of thing with them. Every Tuesday they get on and share, with the idea being that, something, if you like this and it interests you, great. Here's an opportunity for you to learn more and be successful in multifamily. So I will just pass it over to you guys.